But if NVIDIA doesn't do well, then I would argue that all of these stocks in this whole industry are going to get body slammed. Now, it could do well. It could have a great earnings announcement. I'm not going to say that it won't. But remember that the first 10 minutes of the game is not the same as the whole game. Or the first quarter of the game, having the lead in the first quarter does not mean that you actually won the game. So the Magnificent Seven stocks, NVIDIA is one of them, are basically Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, aka Google, Amazon, Meta, and Tesla. And these are massively just incredibly valuable companies. In fact, their combined market value is $11 trillion as of mid 2024. So this means that these seven stocks are worth more on the market than the entire market capitalization of every single publicly traded company in the UK, in Germany, and all of France combined. So take every single publicly traded company in England, Germany, and France, add them all up, and you still don't get the Magnificent Seven. In fact, the total value of the Magnificent Seven stocks is basically higher than the value of pretty much all the publicly traded companies in Europe. Also, let's see, I got some more data here. The combined market cap of the Magnificent Seven is greater than the GDP of Japan. It's greater than the gross domestic product of Germany. This is an insane level of valuation. What I need you to understand, how can I explain this? Let me explain it. All right, boys, we're gonna explain it in a way where we're all gonna get it. Okay. So that because I want y'all to see what I see. See, what you got to understand is this. I'm gonna shut my door. Y'all wait for 1 minute. I promise it'll be worth it. I gotta shut my door because my wife's outside, and if I start yelling, it's gonna disturb her and her work. So give me a second. You ready? Okay, I'm gonna try to explain it like this. First thing I want you to understand is that stock market valuations are not real. They are not real. They don't exist. People like me sit there and we design these equations. In my doctoral program, I went through all the math that comes where they calculate a stock price. And for some reason, people believe these prices. Well, why? Well, because they're the best guess and assessment based on information that we have access to. But really, when you buy a stock, what you're really kind of buying is a little bit of an IOU. You're really buying an IOU because for some companies, think of it like basketball players, right? If I was to buy a piece of LeBron James's career, well, a lot of that's very tangible. Why? Well, because LeBron's probably got $500 million in the bank. He probably owns another $300 or $400 million worth of real estate. He's got a signed contract with the Lakers that's going to pay him a few $1 million, probably a couple $100 million more. And then there's like the potential that I have to factor in. I have to say, well, what's LeBron's potential long-term earnings? What's he going to make after basketball? Well, that's when it gets murky. That's the guessing part. Like, you don't know. For all we know, LeBron could get busted in a sex scandal, God forbid, and then suddenly he becomes the next Diddy, and his market value completely collapses. Okay, so that's the LeBron example, but there's some things that are established, some things that are very real, some things that are very tangible. Like even if he collapsed, even if his whole reputation collapsed, it's okay because he's 40 almost, and he's already made $1 billion or $500 million or something in tangible assets that are very, very real. Now compare him to, say, a player who just got drafted last week. I was trying to think of some young guys that just got drafted. The Wembanyama, the 7'5" guy, right? Now Wembanyama is a great player, but he's young, right? His best years are ahead of him. LeBron's best years as a player are behind him, right? So think of these two as like two different stocks. So Wembanyama, he's a bad boy. There's a lot of potential there. He could have, if you did the same math, you could come up with a market value for Wembanyama.